Hello and welcome to this section. I would like to talk about lifecycle management inside S3 bucket. So for doing this, let's go and click on S3 inside the AWS console. And we had one ITrepo-test bucket. I'm going to click on this one. And basically what we want to do is we want to go to the management tab here. And there is a lifecycle tab. And we want to move our data to another storage class inside our bucket. If you remember, I can show you the old slides from previous sections. So if you remember, we have S3 standard class, S3 intelligent tiering, S3 standard infrequent access, S3 one zone infrequent access, S3 glacier, and the one deep archive, or the one that is not recommended for now. These are S3 classes. So right now, when we created our bucket, we put everything in the S3 standard. And I told you that this is the most expensive one, but the most available one and the durable one, and actually the best one because it has the 99.9% availability SLA and it is across 3 availability zones. There is no minimum capacity charge per objects for it, and there is no minimum storage duration charge also. At the end, there is no retrieval fee for it, and the latency is pretty good. So this is the best option that we have. But what if we want to move our data to another storage class after a while? Let's say I'm taking my backups and I want to keep my backups for the last 30 days in the S3 standard, but after 30 days I like to move it to another storage class because it's cheaper, and maybe I don't want to use this data anymore. Maybe I just want to keep it for compliance reasons and for auditing purposes. So if this is the case, so you can create a lifecycle rule for your S3 bucket, and you can put some numbers there like days and when you want to get rid of the data, and then the S3 is going to take care of it for you. So just as a reminder, the S3, as I said, is the most expensive one and the best option. S3 intelligent tiering is going to analyze your data and categorize your data based on the cold and hot data, and it is moving your data in the background for you. So you don't need to actually decide which part of your data should be in infrequent access class or which one should be in the standard one. There's one thing that you should be aware, that there is a minimum storage duration charge for it, that is 30 days. And the standard infrequent access, you know that you don't need this data that much. It's an infrequent access and you're going to put it in this one. The difference between standard infrequent access, the intelligent one, is that for the intelligent one, the AWS is going to decide for you. But this is actually cold data that we know about it. And again, there is a 30 days minimum storage duration charge, and this is a new for this one. Is minimum capacity charge per gigabyte is 128 kilobyte. This is the most dangerous one, I would say, because this is across one availability zone, and if that availability zone goes down, everything will go down. It has the minimum capacity charge per objects, and also there is a minimum storage duration charge for it. And the last one is a glacier, which if you want to keep something for long term, then you can put it into the glacier, and if you want to retrieve the data, it's going to take some time and you have to pay for it actually. So my suggestion is, based on your scenario, it could be possible that you keep your hot backup or recent backup in S3 standard and you move your long-term backup to the S3 glacier or other classes. So the whole idea in this section is just to show you how you can do this. So let's go back to the console. So in the management tab, you can see I've already selected lifecycle. There are different tabs here in the management. So go ahead and make sure that you selected lifecycle, and you can create one rule for your lifecycle. So you can give it a name, for example, move to another class, and then you can put a filter based on the prefix or tag if you'd like. I don't have any, I'll just hit next. And the second step, it asks for the transitions. So this could be a little bit confusing. I would like you to just pay your attention to what is the configuration here, because I remember when first I configured this myself, I made a mistake, and after a while, after 3 or 4 months, I got the point that, oh, I forgot to, for example, select something, and that's why the lifecycle manager wasn't working. So let's look at this one very carefully. In the transitions, we can select our current version or previous versions of our data. And we are basically saying what kind of version of our data inside the bucket we want to start doing the transition on it. And you may know that we enable versioning on our bucket. So right now we have a current version of our objects, which is the latest one, which are the files that we are seeing inside our bucket. And also we have previous versions, which there are previous versions that we did the change, and S3 keep track of all of them. So right now, because the versioning is enabled, enabled, I'm going to select both of them. But if the versioning is not enabled, basically, so we don't need to select the previous versions. Now for the current version object, we can add a transition and we can say, okay, move these objects to this storage class, and we can see the other storage ones: standard infrequent access, intelligent tiering, one zone infrequent access, and Glacier. And I'm going to select, for example, Glacier, and you can select the days after creation. And basically this is pretty simple. If I put 7 here, I'm telling the AWS lifecycle management that move my current version of the objects to the Glacier after 7 days after creation. And I can do the same thing, for example, for previous versions. So basically I'm moving everything after 7 days to Glacier. It doesn't matter it's current version or it's previous version. Go ahead and hit next. And here in the step 3, it's expiration. So we're not moving our object to another class. This is not like a cut and paste. It's like a copy. When you have a lifecycle management, you're telling your S3 bucket to copy the current version and previous version after 7 days to another storage class. But you have to actually configure step 3 here to say, okay, delete the objects. So if I go back here, you're just copying them to another class. But if you go to the next step in the expiration, if you don't configure anything and just hit next, it means you have duplicate data right now. You have some data in S3 standard and you are copying some of your data after 7 days actually to other class, which is a Glacier. So you keep both of them right now if you don't configure expiration. So make sure that you're configuring expiration. And for expiration, again, you have the option for current version and for the previous version. You can tell the AWS that I want to delete, for example, my current version after 90 days and my previous version after 90 days. And don't forget that this is from object creation. The previous step in the transition, it was also from object creation time. So there are a bunch of options for cleaning up our buckets, but basically this is it. Make sure that you're selecting the expiration and hit next. And this is the whole idea of copying our data to Glacier after 7 days from the object creation and then cleaning them up after 90 days. I'm going to hit save here, and this is my lifecycle rule. So if you click on your lifecycle rule, you can hit edit and then you can change whatever you like. It's pretty easy. You can easily go back through them and you can change them easily. And there's an action here that you can enable or disable your rule. So you need to select your rule and then go to the action, for example, here. Because it's enabled, I can disable it. And the last thing is you can basically create multiple lifecycle rules. I can create another one, for example, rule 2, hit next, and you can say, for example, I want to move my current version to infrequent access after 30 days. So, and you saw that the 30 days just popped up here. And if I try to just change this one, for example, to 1 day, look at here, it says a minimum of 30 days is required before transitioning to the standard infrequent access storage class. And that was the limitation that it was in the PowerPoint actually I showed to you. But basically we can create multiple roles here. I'm just going to hit next, finish here, just as an example. And then based on some criteria, I'm moving a bunch of my data to the Glacier. And I'm saying I'm moving because I am transitioning them and I'm expiring them. But here I'm just copying a bunch of my data to another storage class. Maybe I want to do some stuff with it. So that's it. Make sure that you're using Lifecycle Manager. It's pretty useful and it can reduce your storage cost a lot.